So by this point, we've covered social media content, top of funnel, how to get in front of more eyeballs. Then you're driving that traffic to somewhere, which would be either your funnel, your website, your landing page, or a community that you're building. Then from there on, the next step is obviously to book them in for a call, a Zoom call. And from Zoom, there's two things that will happen. One is they'll be added into a CRM. And then the other thing is they'll be sent emails and text messages just to remind them about the actual meeting itself. All right. There is another thing that you could add here, which is a bit more high level. You don't need to, but we have another step in between here and the next step, which is a thank you for booking page. So after the girl goes ahead and books in the Zoom call, she would then be redirected to a whole different website with a unique video that will explain to them, what they can expect from the call. Again, a bit about who we are, what have we done, what have we achieved, and just manage their expectations about the Zoom call coming up. And it will just answer a lot of their questions rather than jumping on a Zoom call and answering the same questions over and over. You can just create it into one video that'll answer all the questions in one go. Moving on to the next part. Then here we have the contract. So by this point, you've obviously done a Zoom call. Let's just say it's all gone to plan and the model is happy to sign up with you. At this point, you then need to obviously send her over a legal contract to sign. This just ensures everything is safe from a legal point of view from your side and the model side, because you don't want to get into any trouble, especially in this adult industry. So you want to make sure you have a legal contract written out. That's something that we provide in our program, by the way. In our course, we teach you everything that I'm showing here, but in a lot more detail, of course. We give you the exact scripts. We tell you exactly what to say on a Zoom call, for example. We give you the emails and so on and so on, right? And a contract, of course, as well. However, if you don't have that, you can go to a law firm, a lawyer, a solicitor, and they can type something up for you. It will cost a little bit, but I promise you it's a worthwhile investment. Okay, so cool. So by this point, the model has read through the entire agreement. She or he has gone ahead and signed. And at this point, technically, well done. Congratulations, you have your first client. It's really is that simple. It really isn't that complicated. If you come from like SMA, which I did, by the way, that's a bit of a backstory about myself. I used to do SMA for like 4 or 5 years. SMA is a lot more difficult to get a client than this because you have way more competition. The prospects that you're reaching out to have got like a sour taste in their mouth about a marketing agency, and so on, right? And also most of them are broke. In this instance, because they have to pay you up front, by the way, right? Like SMA, they have to pay you like $2,000-$3,000 up front and then you do the service. And this is the opposite. One, supply and demand is heavily in your favor. There's not that many OFM agencies out there in comparison to how many models there are. Two, most of them haven't had an agency before. And third of all, the model does not have to pay you anything up front. So it's not like a hard sale, right? All she has to do is give you a percentage of what you're gonna make her anyway. So without you, she wouldn't have made that money anyway. So it's not like she's having to pay something out of her pocket. All right, pretty simple. Cool, moving on to the next part then. So after she has gone ahead and signed the agreement, you now must actually have a clear and precise onboarding system in place. And this is something that the model can go through and give all of the needed information so you can start helping her scale her income. So this is another huge mistake that a lot of beginner agencies make and just avoid, is actually having like an onboarding process and a system in place. What a lot of people do is they'll go out of their way and do all this hard work and do a lot of outreach and a lot of calls and interviews. They'll finally get the prospect to sign an agreement and start working with them. And then it's just like, there's just no process. There's just no process to it, right? The model is just waiting for you to message them. You don't know what's going on. She doesn't know what's going on. And you got to realize that first impressions are fucking the most important. So you got to make sure that as soon as the contract is signed and the model actually becomes a client of yours, from there on, there is a very clear and precise process that has to take place, and it's the same every single time, where just think about it logically, right? What would you need from the model and what would the model need from you for you guys to start working together very, very efficiently, right? I'm not going to go through all in this video because we have all of this explained in a course in extensive detail. We give you everything that you'd need, but just to give you some ideas, right, and some examples. So things like, what kind of content is she happy to create? When is she able to create the content? What does she need help with? When is she available for calls, checking calls, so on and so on and so on, all right? And obviously you need your login details for OF, maybe social media if you wanted to manage her social media, and so on and so on, all right? So that's the onboarding process. It's very important. Please don't fucking skip that because otherwise you'll fuck everything up. The next part is the actual onboarding call. So by this point, this model would have filled out an online form, which would have given you all of the details that you would have needed to start managing her. And now once she's filled it all out and she's answered all of your questions that you need to know, now it's time to actually jump on the first Zoom call with her where she's actually now a client of yours. All right. So again, this is very fucking important. Make sure you are professional and how you, talk about yourself, your agency. You don't want to, it's not all fun and games. Like at the end of the day, it's this girl's income that's on the line, right? And it's your job to fucking make sure you do a great job, okay? So you need to really make sure that your onboarding call is absolutely 10 out of 10. You need to make sure on this onboarding call, you set expectations very, very, very clearly, okay? This is the biggest thing. That's pretty much the most the biggest reason why we do an onboarding call is just to manage the expectations, all right? So with managing expectations for your OF client as well, you need to explain to them that, what is it going to be like working with you in terms of communication, earnings, what can they expect from you, and so on and so on. Now, I get it. If you're watching this and you're just starting out, you're probably thinking, right, Marcus, this sounds great, but how the fuck do I even know what to, how do I know to manage their expectations when I don't even know what to expect? I get it. When you're starting out, there's a lot to learn, right? There's so much that you need to learn. This is why I provide coaching, because it will just save you a lot of time and I will tell you what you can expect and how to manage everyone's expectations. But if you want to do it by yourself for free, be my guest. It's just you will have to probably spend like a year or so to really understand everything so you're able to manage people's expectations a bit better.